Aaron Singer is my guest. I was just prepping you on Sex with Stevie tonight, and I was just talking about comedian, actor. You live in LA right now, and you do these really funny videos that I can't wait to dive into. I've got my notes here on all of it. First of all, before we get into your videos and how hilarious they are, where did you grow up?
Thank you, first of all. And also, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. Like, I emailed you and didn't even expect a response, and the fact that you, like, responded at all and, like, wanted me on the podcast is so cool.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, so... but I love the podcast, by the way, but I told you that already. But, yeah, I grew up in Maryland, in Silver Spring, Maryland. It's like a suburb near D.C.
Got it. Well, okay, so I know you're in LA right now, correct?
Yeah.
Living in LA, you're an actor, you're a writer. You started this channel that I think the first time I got introduced to you is you emailed me and you sent me a couple of your videos. And I want to get into some of these, but let's just dive into like one of the latest ones. And I have here, the latest one I want to talk about is you write what it's actually like having gay sex. And what I think is hilarious about it is you're familiar with Sarah Cooper, right? She's blowing it up, where she plays Trump, and she's...
Oh, yeah. She, like, mouths along
yes.
on TikTok or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I loved about what you do is you play the top and the bottom. And I was describing to my sister earlier today, and I said, oh, my God, to my sister, I said... Vivian, I said, he is actually like, has the camera down where I was figuring out how you actually filmed it. And how did you come up with this idea to do where you play dual characters?
Well, all the ideas are pretty much like word for word from real life. And yeah, I used to do, like, I had some videos way back in the day that went viral, but it was before I came out. And then after I came out, I was like, okay, this would be really cool to actually, like, make videos that are based on my life. So, so that's where, like, all the videos are actual, like, awkward situations that I've been in, pretty much. And yeah, in terms of filming both characters, that's just, like, first of all, just because of the shutdown and quarantine, that's the easiest thing to do. But even before quarantine, I just love anything I can do myself, because, like, scheduling and waiting for other people, like, I had, like, a few other projects and things I was working on that required, like, other people, and I was like, what can I do that I don't need to wait for anyone else? I don't need to get, like, a yes from anyone else. I can just do alone whenever I want. So that's why I was like, I had this idea, and I was like, why don't I just play both parts?
Well, I think one of the brilliant things about it, and I certainly know on doing a show like this, Tags Podcast and Sex with Stevie, the more honest and real you are, the more you're going to connect with your audience. And I really appreciate when I meet a fellow person like yourself that is open with that. And in this particular one, I think the takeaway for me, because you do talk about it in this, and you show the awkwardness that can occur between a top and a bottom, and you play both characters, which I think is brilliant. But I think what's really interesting is so many people, like a lot of my really cool straight friends, are always touting, oh, it's amazing to be gay, like, who wouldn't want to be gay, you guys have, like, the best life. But they don't really realize that yes, it is, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But when it comes to compatibility and sex in bed, particularly with somebody you're not familiar with, it can be awkward, like you show in this video. I mean, talk a little bit about that, and maybe share a little bit of how this skit came about.
Yeah, so that, like I said, it's all based on, like, my awkward life. And I'm in kind of a weird situation, like, because I came out so late. Like, I came out at age 27, and I wasn't, like, hooking up with guys or doing anything. Like, I grew up in a religious environment, and, like, I wasn't even, like, admitting to myself I was gay. So, like, hooking up and stuff, it's all very new to me. So I definitely have, like, got the awkward brunt of it. But, yeah, and it's all based off of, like, stuff that's happened. Like, I've been in kind of both situations. Like, a weird thing for me is like I still don't even know if I'm like a top or a bottom. I think I'm verse, but like, yeah, so like when I'm like in this weird situation where I definitely identify most with, if you watch the video, there's like the guy trying to be dominant, but like he can't. And actually, I think I identify with both. But that came from like, that's me, because I like want. It's really weird because I want, like, when I watch porn or whatever, like I want whatever the big dominant guy is doing to like the submissive guy. I want that to I want someone to do that to me, but I am way more attracted to the people I end up dating and stuff. They tend to be submissive. So then, like,
I don't know if you're watching. I don't know if you're watching on Facebook Live, but if you can see my T-shirt, it says the word you just said, submissive. How funny!
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really. I like that. It does seem, in watching a few of your videos, that you're exploring, I would say, both top and bottom, and I think that's, I think it's probably a better place to be in a lot of ways, because you can go one way or the other, particularly if,
right.
When you're just one type, you have to really find, if you're a total bottom, you have to find the total tops. If you're a total, vice versa. There's a point in this video where the bottom is like, call me, it's you, but you're saying, call me like a dirty slut, a Latino dirty slut, and you, the top, says, like, almost like, oh, you're a twink, really? Like, he's like, just go with it. And then he's like, just call me a dirty, slutty, bottom kind of thing. And then what I love is that you playing the tops calls the bottom stupid, and you're stupid, dirty, and you, the bottom, goes, wait a minute, why is my education coming into play with this? And it's and you tap into something that is so real. I mean, I know it's comedy and it's brilliantly done in this video, and I will put these videos up on Tech's podcast, but you do tap into that when you're getting to know somebody, or if you just hook up with somebody, that awkwardness of talking dirty and how far to push it. And can you just share a little bit of personal story on how maybe you've been in that situation?
Yeah, that's so cool that you say that, because that was like an epiphany I was like wanting to share with you. It's like, I recently kind of swore off hookups, so maybe that's why a lot of this is about what I hated about them. But one thing I really noticed really recently is the best sex I ever had was with my ex, and it was just because we knew each other really well and we could communicate. So I will do this thing where I'm on Grindr or any app, and I'm like, as soon as we start talking anything kinky, I just kind of go into this fantasy world where I think somehow it's not going to be awkward at all, and it's going to storm in, and all our kinks will perfectly match. You have to there's so much that goes into talking about it, that the chances that a stranger, everything he wants to do to you is everything you want him to do to you, the chances are pretty much 0%. So that's the thing I was noticing, that that's the reason I'm not enjoying all these hookups, is because I need to get to know the person first. I need to be comfortable telling them what I like and what I don't like, and it's not that fantasy of the guy walks in and it's not awkward at all and you just get your brains fucked out. I hope I can say that, sorry.
You can.
It just doesn't. Okay, yeah, that just fantasy doesn't happen. I could share one very specific story that happened recently, if you want.
Go. I'm for it.
Okay, so this is embarrassing, but this is the last hookup I had that really was after this I'm okay, I'm swearing off hookups. And it wasn't anything too terrible, but it was the same thing that happens a lot, especially on Grindr, where I'm talking to a guy, I'm oh, I really like him, he seems interesting, we're connecting, and then sex is brought up, and then that's all we talk about, and you realize slowly of course this is Grindr, all the preamble of connecting was just to get to sex, and then he really wanted to be really dominant, and I'm that's so hot, and I was like, okay, just like walk in and like slap me and like go crazy on me. And I was like, no safe word. I was like, really, like, I'm gonna fulfill this fantasy. And he walks in and just like, he got so personal with what he was saying. Like, I think it's because he was young, so didn't know better. But okay, the first thing that was off is like, I think he started like yelling at me before the door was even closed, and he was yelling so loud, and I'm like, dude, I have neighbors. And he was like, get on your fucking feet, like, get on your knees now. And I was like, oh my god. And then he slapped me like so hard, I swear I got like a mini concussion. And I was like, whoa, that I've never been like roughed around that much. I was like, that is another level that it's not hot anymore, it just hurts. And then one of the first things he said to me, he like, I like opened my mouth. He was like, open your mouth. He was like, wow, you got some fucked up teeth.
Okay. Parameters. So you needed, because I've read your bio a little bit, and you're a writer and an actor, and you know, and I know because I've been an actor before, is you get your scenes ahead of time. It's all very scripted, and what to do and what not to do, and it's almost like we need to direct some of these people, because if you don't have these parameters, they're gonna say some fucked up shit, and they're going to, scream loud and make your neighbors hear. And so I appreciate that. Yeah, and it can go really already bad particularly if you're the submissive, and
right.
It can get scary too. I want to ask about another video, but real quick, Amelia Duquesne, who's live right now, who's a dear friend of mine, has said, let me find that question, since we are live, and I'm losing my comments here. My family lived in Silver Springs, Maryland. Anywhere close to where you lived?
Whoa, that's exactly where I live, in Silver Spring, Maryland, or that's where I grew up.
All right, well, good. Amelia, I hope you heard that. Okay, so piggybacking on what we've been talking about, one of my other favorite videos that you produce, I think recently actually, is called That Awkward Moment When You Have a Gay Hookup. And essentially, I'll just set it up for our listeners and viewers. It's you playing dual roles, and I want to ask you in a minute about playing dual roles, because it's got to be like an actor's dream in general, particularly when you write it yourself. But one of you is on the sucking off, like we get the idea that you're sucking off the top, and you're talking dirty, and the top apparently comes, and he's essentially done the top, and it's that awkward moment that if you met, I've stated on this show several times that I don't do well on the apps, and I've always been like an in-person meetup. Have you had a moment? I guess my first question, because there were so many moments again, I've had straight friends of mine tell me, oh, I wish women, like my straight male friend, I wish I could hook up with a woman so easily, but it doesn't always work out that way. And they're almost jealous of the fact that we can get on an app and we could be, 5 minutes and be in someone's apartment sucking someone off. But the reality is it gets awkward in this video that you portray. Because talk to me a little bit about the inspiration of this video and how it gets awkward.
Yeah, this is inspired also by like 99% of my hookups, because I'm like, especially like I moved to LA recently, and it was the same thing when I moved to New York at first. Like, my goal is always to make friends and connections and stuff, so it's almost like, and then when I have these hookups, like I almost feel kind of dirty, because I feel like I'm trading my body for friendship, because like the goal to me is always, like I never, even when I have a hookup that feels like it's going to be a one-time thing, I never really want it to be a one-time thing. Like, I'm always kind of hoping, not just a hookup, but just that we can like keep talking as friends. So I'm always that guy that's like, oh, are you leaving right now? Okay, cool. So yeah, that's where it came from.
Well, it's interesting because, again, you play both roles. So would you say that you sided more with the guy that was sucking off? Because where it gets awkward is the guy that you play sucking you. He comes, he's done, and he's like, all right, well, that was great. And meanwhile, I was thinking, did you get off the other you? And then the other thing was, it's like, oh, okay, so do you know, the other one's like, you can't get out of that apartment fast enough, and the other you is like, hey, so do you want to like talk? And oh, what do you want to talk? And it gets really awkward. And I've been in that situation, like not very many, because I haven't done, like, truth be told, in the past, before quarantine, I would go to places that were more sexually, bars that had like a back room almost. So I didn't, my investment wasn't that great, because it was just going into like a bathroom area and getting my rocks off and then going back and talking with my friends. But I feel like there's an investment that our straight components need to know, that when you do hook up with somebody and you go out of your living arrangement to somebody else's house, home, apartment, and in my case, I have to pass my doorman and then pass their doorman if they live here in New York City, and it's the shame of like, I was only there for like 5 minutes, and what are they gonna think about me? And as gay men, I feel like we live for this, but yet we still have like things going on in our head. I mean, what do you say to all that?
Yeah, I agree. I want to. Whenever that happens, I always want it to be something more, and like that's the thing like that I like about doing stuff like this, because this is sort of like the world, and it's not just with gays, but with like straight people hook up too. And I feel like these kind of weird one night stand things aren't really shown that much, and so it's cool to do like I've had like hookups or whatever where you're like, it's so intimate, like someone coming into like a bathroom, like you said, in a bar might not be so intimate, but like someone comes to your apartment, with me a lot of times we end up like cuddling and talking more than doing anything sexual usually, and then it's like you get to know this person, you like invest all this time in them, and like then you never see each other again. It's just crazy to me that like people want to hook up but don't want to like make any sort of friend or any sort of future connection with them, you know what I mean?
Well, I do. And one other video before I ask you a couple other questions is you have one about two gay roommates, and again, brilliantly, you play both roles. And I just think, I mean, first of all, how fun is that to play two different characters in your videos?
It's awesome. A lot of the videos I've done so far where I play both parts, the parts aren't that different, but
top and bottom is different.
Oh no, they're definitely different. But I'm saying I just filmed a video that I haven't put out yet. That was really fun because they're so different. Like one is my actual age, which is 31, and then the other character is this like 19-year-old, very shy kind of person. And so to be able to play some like people so different, that was the most fun thing. But yeah, just doing it in general. And also, I wanted to say, like, you mentioned writing, like, for these I actually don't write them, I just improv them. So it's really fun and easy, and like, I'll just like do a 10-minute take at one character and then go answer all the things and like respond to everything I said as the other character, and then just like edit it together. And it's been really easy and it's so fun. It's definitely the easiest and like funnest thing I've done. Or one of the funnest things.
Well, then I have to ask you, because in some of the videos you have a series of, it's almost like conversations with your dad. They're video vlogs.
Oh, yeah.
And is that your real dad in these videos?
No. So
okay.
Everyone thought.
Because I was like, wow. Because he's a really good actor, by the way. Okay, yeah, and your dad's hot, and you're hot too. But I was like, wow, how amazing would that be? I'm a different generation, but I was just like, wow. But okay, and sorry, I didn't mean to. If you didn't want to tell that or not, you didn't have to. But
oh no, I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind people knowing. Yeah.
He plays a really good dad, though, I have to say.
Yeah, that's actually my improv teacher from DC. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's really cool. Who's obviously very cool and willing to go. And did you sort of write the parameters of this father-son dynamic that you? It looks like maybe you improv a lot of it.
Yeah, that's also all totally improv. We set up maybe like a situation and then just go for it. and that was a similar thing where I had the idea, and I was it was actually like I came up with the idea a little bit before I came out, but I was definitely like watching a lot of boys on YouTube, and like I noticed sort of just like the style of like a lot of like gay vloggers that I would watch, and they're just so like bright and like have this very similar personality, and I was like, that'd be really fun to match that energy with like a dad who like really isn't having it and is like not meeting them at their level of having fun, and so that's where that came from. And the funny thing is they're mostly in the car, but the videos weren't supposed to be in the car. I was like shooting another video with Michael Johnson, the guy that plays the dad, and on the way home, like we were driving back from shooting that video, and he was like, why don't you take out the camera and we'll just practice for this other thing you have with the son and the dad. And so I was just filming for practice, and then I was like, this is actually really funny on its own, so then we just made it that way and like kept making them in the car and all
They're
that.
very, very hilarious, and I could go on and on. I'm going to put all the links up. You can watch them. There's really a fun one about you play two gay roommates that end up hooking up and fucking, and who's going to be the top and the bottom, which is a total realistic conversation. I love it. But before you go, you won some awards too for the Austin Film Festival and Filmmakers Magazine script writing. What have you won for? Like some of what you're writing? Tell us a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, so my my like ultimate goal in life is to have like create my own TV show and like write and act in it, which I know is a huge goal, but it's what I want to do.
No, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So who knows? But that's my goal. So yeah, so I've been like taking writing classes and all that, and I wrote spec for BoJack Horseman, which is like one of my favorite shows of all time. And that's the spec that won, or made it to the second round of the Austin Film Festival. So that was just a pretty cool random thing that happened.
I love it. Well, before I let you go, and before we tell people where they can find you, will you play a quick fun game with me on the best and the worst of something that I mentioned?
Okay, sure.
So all you got to do is I'm going to mention something sexually related, and you got to tell me the best thing about it and the worst thing about it. Are you ready?
Okay.
Aaron Singer, tell me the best and the worst thing about poppers.
The best thing would be that people use them and it's easier to have sex. The worst thing is the smell.
Yeah, right? It's and I immediately, if I was just to go to my thought right now, I've been running, like jogging, trying to lean up here in the heat wave, which is dumb, and inevitably I'll smell like pot, like someone's smoking pot, and I'm okay with pot, but like the smell in a heat wave after you've run is equivalent to me of poppers when, the smell. Okay, the best and the worst of blowjobs. Just the first thing that comes to your head.
The best is, I don't know when it's good. Okay, the best is when he's really dominant and he grabs the back of your head and just like keeps it going.
Now,
and then the
worst,
the worst is when someone's trying to give you one and you're not in the mood and they're confused and they're like, you don't like getting your dick sucked? And I'm like, maybe not all the time. And
yes.
Freak? Yeah.
I 100% agree, yeah. To me, the best would be when it's like a monster cock and you're like, oh, yeah, come to me, baby. And the worst is that it's a monster cock and my gag reflexes aren't like they should be to take this monster cock. So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The best and the worst about morning sex.
Ooh, well, the worst has got to be just like you all are gross and haven't showered.
Your breath.
Yeah. The best is, I don't know, it could also be really cute if he's like your boyfriend and you're just like having sex whenever you want. I don't know.
I love it. And lastly, the best and the worst about lube.
I'm going to say no worst. I should have known about lube earlier and everyone should use it and it's great and that's it.
I love it.
I definitely went a long time without using it, and then I was like, "Oh, wow, this makes all the difference."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a friend that only likes spit, and I'm like, "That's not lube," but I get it. It's the natural lube, Aaron Singer, I want to thank you so much for doing Sex with Stevie. This has been amazing. How can people follow you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. People could find me at Twitter at Captain Gayboy.
Which I have in your thing, and I'm going to list it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just spelled normally. And I just want to say, I don't know, like, whoever's listening to your podcast, like, I don't know if anyone's also doing stuff, but, like, anyone can DM me, talk to me. Like, I am trying to network and find other gay content creators like you, and so just like you, like return my email. Like, I am the same way. Anyone that reaches out to me, I would love to, even if not working with, just like talking about cool stuff. So yeah,
we should talk offline about that, Aaron. And I think you're so funny, and you're onto something, and I know you are onto even bigger, greater successes. I love your comedy; it's very funny. So, but yeah, absolutely. I'll put your everything on Tag's podcast on how people can follow you and watch your videos, and of course get in contact with you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I definitely have questions. I'm gonna talk to you offline.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll talk soon, Aaron. Thank you.
All right.